Hello, everybody. It's Ed Rosenberg, and today I got once again a very, very special guest, Cynthia Stine. Cynthia, how you doing?
Hi.
Okay, Cynthia. So we got a lot to talk about, and I don't know if you're making me famous or if I'm making you famous.
I think you're making me famous.
Okay, I need to know a little bit about gray goods. If somebody comes to me, he said he's got a warehouse, there's no website. He's somewhere in Brooklyn. He's on the 14th floor. He said if I buy 1,000 pieces, I for $11 a piece, and I go on Amazon, if the cheapest is $44. I know, I mean, it wasn't stolen. Is that gray?
It could be. So, the issue about gray market goods is that the product, they don't really know where it came from. So, a lot of gray goods are authentic and they're legit in that sense. They're not counterfeit, but they don't really know where they came from. So, what Amazon wants you to be able to do is to trace it back all the way back to the manufacturer. So, if it's, um, you know, like I had a client who had to trace some clothing she was selling all the way back to Versace in Italy, because they claimed it was inauthentic, and it was tricky for her to do that. And so that's kind of what happens with these goods is that they may be coming from different places, and we don't really know where it came from. And so what happens is if Amazon claims that you've been inauthentic or counterfeit with your goods, then they will not accept your invoices. So, you might say, okay, well, here's the invoice. I bought the pallet or the 1,000 pieces from this guy. And they're like, well, who is he? And, is he an authorized reseller of this brand, whatever it is? And if he's not, then that's a problem. Another place that I see that's a problem with also gray market goods is maybe buying from an authorized reseller or distributor, okay, like, hey, this guy is allowed to sell Samsung or something like that, but he's not allowed to sell it to you to sell on Amazon, right? So this guy can sell his product, he's an authorized distributor, he can sell it to anyone with a brick and mortar store, but not online. And that's his contract with the manufacturer. And so when you buy from him and then you put it up on Amazon, um, that's inauthentic. The manufacturer is basically going to say, I didn't give, Cynthia Stine permission to sell that on Amazon. And in case you're wondering who's making all these inauthentic complaints, a lot of times it's the manufacturer or the brand holder. So they're going to Amazon saying, hey, there's no way this guy is selling, we didn't sell this to this guy. We don't know where he got his product. And so half the time I know it's coming from the manufacturer because I can't find it anywhere else in their account.
Hmm. So you have no way of know. So, but when I buy this deal, I have no way of making sure that I'm not going to get into any trouble.
That's right. So it's a risk, right? It's high risk because if you do have any problems with that product, or you start getting a lot of returns, or somebody says, hey, this is fake, or it's counterfeit, or I don't think it's real, or whatever, and you have to defend it, you can't defend it. Another example of a gray market good I see a lot too is people will buy in one market to sell in another. So maybe they're buying, like I have a client who sells sunglasses, and he buys them in Europe to sell in the United States. So, and he's buying them from the manufacturer in Europe, right? He's doing a little arbitrage, right? It's cheaper to buy it there. He ships it over here, he sells it here, he makes money, right? And so you think, well, what's the problem with that? They are legitimate sunglasses, right? He bought them from the manufacturer. The problem was those sunglasses um, were not allowed to be sold in the U.S., right? So when you look at products that are sold like in Europe or vice versa, they meet certain regulations. They have certain, lead counts and metals and chemicals and all these things in them that, in one country it's this way, in another country it's this way. And so even if something as simple as sunglasses, like think of all those with the big plastic frames, the chemical composition of those frames may be fine for Europe, but not for the U.S.
Hmm.
And so that's a gray market good because it's not intended to be sold in the U.S. And so you're bringing it in and you're selling it. So that's a gray market good. Like I said, it's not that it's fake. Sometimes it is, but it's not that it's fake. It's that it's where it came from. And so what's going to happen now is that sellers have to really pay attention when they want to buy from that guy on the 14th floor. You know, they might have to turn down the deal because, like, I would never be able to defend this. Like, I have a lady who sells luxury goods and, you know, Coach handbags, the Versace, things like this. Well, a lot of her sources are gray market, right? So by the time it gets from the manufacturer to her, it's been through like 20 hands, right? And, you know, it went here, 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 here. And so, you know, she's buying gray market. She's got the guy who says, I got a pallet of, you know, belts or shirts or handbags. And so she's not able to sell those anymore. She just can't. She had too many inauthentic. So that's why we care about gray market goods. And from Amazon's perspective, they care about gray market goods because a lot of times gray market goods are stolen. So it's not that they're counterfeit again, but they might be stolen and then being sold, you know, at a deep discount somewhere. And I did have a client who bought stolen goods. So just to give you an idea, he thought he had found a hell of a deal. He was so happy. And then, you know, I'm like, didn't you question when you were getting these for like $1 an item? You know, like where they had gotten it from. And, you know, and at the time he didn't because he kind of had that, I don't know, that thrift store mentality that, oh my God, I found a deal. And, you know, it was a moving sale and all this stuff. So he's like, yeah, yay. And then later it's like, where do you think they got that? And so that's another reason why they don't like gray market goods because they can be stolen.
So potentially any retail arbitrage sale could be classified as gray goods.
Well, it could be if it's coming from like a liquidator. You know, if it's coming from, because there again, you know, it's already been through so many places, you know, but if you go and you buy something at Target or Walmart or something like that, and you know you go to resell it on Amazon, what Amazon will tell you is that technically, in their minds, it's used. So, but not that it's gray. Like if you're buying from a major retailer, they're pretty, you know, they're pretty sure they figure out. I mean, they know that Target has a relationship with Sony, you know, and so the Sony products are going to be legit if you're selling, you know, Sony that you bought from Target. So that's usually not a problem. My clients who do retail arbitrage, their issues tend to be buying things that are like second and third market after that. So what happens when Target and Walmart can't sell something or Kmart is going out of business or whatever? Well, they just liquidate this stuff. It gets put on a large truck. Somebody buys it by the truckload and then they sell it into, maybe they have a brick and mortar discount store. And I've shopped those stores before. And you go and you can see the Target, you know, price tag is still on it, you know. And so if I buy there, for example, and then I send it to Amazon, they would never accept that I had bought it from a legitimate source. At that point, that baby blanket, I bought a lot of baby blankets, that baby blanket, you know, is no longer, you know, legit. Whereas if I had bought it at Target, it would have been, but not at, you know, no-name discount store that bought it off a truck.
Right, but how do I know if I bought it from Target and it's a Sony item that Sony allows me to sell it?
Well, technically they don't. But the first sale doctrine says, you know, that you're allowed to sell things, you know, basically personal goods that you buy like this at, you know, at a retail store or whatever. You can resell it, basically. And this was proven a long time ago at eBay. Basically, that, you know, you have the right to sell things from your own personal inventory. You have the right to go buy something and then resell it if you want to. So the first sale doctrine says, yes, if I buy it at Target and I resell it, you know, Sony may not like it, but there's not a lot they can do about it. Now, here's the thing that comes in with Amazon, though. Like, they'll say, okay, that item is new when you pick it up on the Target shelf. It's new when you check out, and then when you go out the doors, right, whoosh, it's now used. And so even though you know it's never been opened, you send it up there. Technically, they'll consider it used. Now, they don't care as long as nobody complains. But when people start to complain, hey, it looks used, it's dirty, it's damaged, da, 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 that's when they crack down on the people who do retail arbitrage. So people say, oh, does this mean I can't do retail arbitrage? I'm like, no, you can do retail arb, but you better make sure your product is perfect. Don't put in some crappy, thing that's been sitting on the bottom of a shelf for like 2 years, right? We know that doesn't look brand new. Only send in stuff that looks brand new, and fine. Like I said, I've had clients who've had to show receipts to prove that it was authentic, and they've been fine. They were able to get back on the platform with most retail receipts. So lately, the problem has been with online arbitrage. That's where I've seen the worst problems because Amazon is refusing to accept a lot of the receipts from online stores, other retailers, basically other online retailers. That's a problem.
Right. So if you see a deal on Slick Deals, and which I know people do, you're really running the risk of getting a violation.
Right. And so again, if you're asked to prove that it's authentic and you bought it from Slick Deals, you're in trouble. But you might even be in trouble if you bought it from Macy's.com. So that's what's been happening lately, and that's been really frustrating for my clients because they say, "Well, can you give me a list of places I can't shop?" And I'm like, "I really can't because part of it is you don't know what you're going to get from day to day, but also they keep changing the rules. So it used to be there was a whole bunch of places you could shop online, and that would be fine. But it's getting narrower and narrower and narrower, and it's getting to the point where they're not even. The reason why we have only ourselves to blame is because of all the other sellers who submitted fake invoices when they were asked for them by Amazon, and they're so easy to manipulate when they're digital, and that's what they did. So that's why Amazon is really reluctant to accept them now. Okay.
I see. Okay, let me ask you a question about an interesting question somebody asked me. If I'm using any feedback soliciting software, so I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to link to my Amazon store, and I know I'm not allowed to, of course, link to anywhere out of Amazon. That goes without saying. How about if I want to link to an item with a coupon code all within Amazon?
Well, technically, you're not supposed to be using those emails to upsell or to sell something else. People do get away with it. I have not had anyone suspended for it, but that is technically, you're not supposed to do that. So what you're supposed to do is the message center is to work with your buyer about that order that they have with you. So, you can send them emails that say, hey, your package is being delivered today, and you can send them emails that say, would you give me a review, whether it's a product review or a seller review, and that's about it. And of course, you can email them if they have a problem. If they contact you, that's no big. But as far as us contacting them, Amazon really limits it because they want to make sure that we're not spamming their, their buyers. So as long as what you're doing is being helpful, that's fine. And again, we're not allowed to upsell. So, you would think they would like it that we were selling more product on their platform, right?
Yeah.
But we really can't. And so a lot of what I do with my clients is I talk to them about how to get Amazon's buyer off the platform and into their database. Because once you can get them into your own marketing database, then you can market to them. You can send them emails and you can do all this stuff once they've opted in. And so the trick is to get them off the platform. And then you can tell them all about your new product. So for my private label guys, they do this various ways to get buyers off the platform, but they're allowed to put things in their packages.
How do they get people off the platform? I'm a private label seller. How do I get people?
Okay, so with your product, obviously it's got, packaging and a label, And so as the manufacturer of this product, you can put stuff in there, right? You can put in a little sheet of paper that says, hey, join our loyalty club and get 15% off your next order, right? And things like that. And so what you're doing is you're sending them to a URL where they can sign up, and then they'll immediately, if you set it up right, they'll immediately get the coupon code to go back to Amazon and buy it again. Or you can even then at that point say, hey, you loved our vitamin C, try our, ginkgo biloba, right? Or try this or try that. And so I have some clients who are really slick marketers, and they have a whole campaign. And once you get in their system, they're marketing to you a lot. And then they can do that. They can give you an Amazon coupon, right, through their email. It's just Amazon just doesn't want you to do it in their email. So,
I mean, there's software where they can, I don't know how, Amazon probably not too crazy about this, but I know there's software where they'll take the person's information and they'll spit back an email address. Have you heard about that?
Yes. Probably that's a violation of the terms of service. And I guess my feeling would be that it would be fine as long as Amazon didn't find out, right? So if your buyers don't complain, that's fine. But if they complain to Amazon, like, hey, I'm getting all this spam, that's why it's better to get them to opt in and to offer an incentive. And so if I would tell you, if you're going to, let's say you can spit out that email address, right, from all your buyers, I would feed them into Facebook and instead you target them with Facebook ads. That's much less offensive, much less intrusive, and they're already used to ads from Amazon following them around, right?
That's a great idea. That's a genius idea. That's really slick. I wanted to talk a little bit about the whole review controversy. I know you wrote a phenomenal blog post. Everyone was talking about it. But before I go, can you give me the most outrageous suspension you've ever seen?
Outrageous in what sense?
Meaning like somebody did something egregious and then like he tried to get back in.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, I have seen people who had clearly no idea what they were doing, right? I've had, like I said, I've had guys who were selling stolen goods. I have guys who would just send stuff up to Amazon, and it was the most terrible shape I've ever seen. I had a guy who showed me a picture of what he was sending to Amazon, and I'm like, oh my God. I said, how come you haven't been suspended already? I mean, the box looked beat to death. I had a guy who said he was selling plumbing parts, right? And he got a whole bunch at a warehouse, and the same warehouse where they cut granite for countertops.
Mm-hmm.
So these boxes were covered in inches of dust, and they were sending them in as new. And then they were wondering why people were complaining. Just stuff like that. I mean, I think the most outrageous stuff I see is just where you just think, what were they thinking? That's what gets me going. Like, and then there's just people who, when they finally get suspended, sorry, they have no clue why. And you look at their account, and they've just done about everything wrong. And I'm like, I can't believe you haven't been suspended before now.
Right.
So, it just, that's, yeah. Those are some of the more egregious. Or one case I saw, it was shut down basically for bad customer service by the merchant. And I read some of the emails that he sent to his clients or his buyers. And I mean, it was so shocking. I was like, you can never, ever answer customer emails again. You're done.
Right.
Never. Hire someone. You're not going to do it, because he would argue with them. He would call them liars. And then he would wonder why they were all filing A to Z claims. And he all thought, he thought they were all, jerks, shall we say. He used a stronger word. And I'm like, no, honey, you're the problem. You're the problem, not them.
Right.
So,
right.
Wild.
I love the POAs where people like stop begging Amazon. That's the worst.
Please. I had one on who had like 20 pleases. I said to him, good news. I know why your plan was not accepted.
Right. Right. Okay, product reviews. Now, did you get any like nasty emails from some review companies or from some people about that blog post?
Actually, they weren't nasty, but they all had an opinion they wished to share with me. Yes. And actually, a couple of times I did make slight changes to my chart.
Yeah, I
So,
saw that one. I saw that one. You sent it to me too.
yeah. Because I'm like, okay, I see what they're saying. Or, here's the thing. I told all of them this. I went to their website as if I were a prospective buyer, right? Cause I'm a seller too. And so I took whatever they had on their website. And so I said to every one of them who complained, which a lot of them did, that they needed to consider their websites and the information that they're giving sellers because that's where I took my information. I mean, I didn't make it up. So
Right.
I said to them, look, consider it a commentary on areas of your website you might want to improve. And then I fixed it on the chart because I'm not on a vendetta here.
Right.
I'm trying to help sellers make good choices. And, and I looked at it purely from a suspension point of view, right? Purely from a policy point of view. So I couldn't tell you which of those review clubs work, which one's better than the other. I have no idea. I don't want to know. I don't want anyone asking me that question. But I can tell you that there are some that are still practicing risky behavior. And honestly, a lot of them are very secretive because they don't want you to know, meaning until you're in, right? And they don't want Amazon to know by looking at their website what they're up to. But most of those guys are manipulating the platform. They're fooling around with URLs. They're doing things that are against policy, like they tell their buyers to go and type in certain keywords, stuff like that, right? So you're not supposed to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the problem, is that people are really pushing the envelope with their review programs. And all I can say is when AMC Tracker changed their policy, which I'm sure they had to, I don't think they did it voluntarily, I'm sure they had to. And when they did, all you saw on Facebook and stuff were people complaining that they couldn't use super URLs anymore, right? My thought was, you should be worried that Amazon's going to come after you for all the reviews you got beforehand using a super URL. I mean, they're still at risk, but nobody's thinking of it that way. All they can think about is, I've got to get more reviews, I've got to get more reviews.
Right.
And so, my thing is, there's no such thing as a safe program except for Amazon's program. All the rest have degrees of risk. Now, I think some are lower risk than others. That's what I tried to show in the chart. Like I highlighted in yellow ones that they seem to be pretty straight up. Like I felt that they would pass the Amazon smell test, right? From what I can see and what I know. And then there were others that were really like, don't use that. And so that's what I would hope to do with that. It's just to make people aware of the practices that Amazon does not want. And, the short filter is if you're looking at a review company and what they do for you involves the platform, you're at risk, right? And so it may be as simple as using a discount code and going directly to that item. And that's probably okay, as long as you're not using a super URL. Or I had a lot of guys this last week, their associate account was shut down because they were using their associate account and that link to go to their product, and it was part of their product review campaign. And that's against the terms of service for the associate program. And I'm like, well, eventually they would have caught up with you for the review program as well.
Right. We were talking about that today. You mean the affiliate, right?
Yes.
Right. We were talking about it today. Right. I heard about that. So
there's like 10 people that I know of since like last week. Obviously, they've tweaked their terms of service.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the associate program or the affiliate is that it's not under the heading of seller performance. Mm-hmm. There's like 4 people in that group that deal with the associates program, and they have no idea of what they have unleashed on themselves by suspending all these associate accounts. Right? There's like 4 people in there. They're about to get hundreds of angry sellers writing them.
Right.
So anyway, I just I'm trying to get a couple of my clients reinstated who lost their affiliate account, and they lost it though because they were using it in their review program and they were using it improperly. So I would say to people, if you're going to use a link, like you're going to say, here's my code, go to my product, just give them a straight up link that says, Amazon.com/the ASIN number. Don't try anything clever, because every time you do, that's what Amazon gets down on you for. They don't want you messing with the platform.
Right. Wow.
So,
Wow. Anything
yeah.
anything else you see people getting suspended for lately?
Yes, there's been a real rush on jewelry, fine jewelry,
We know
and
that.
watches, people like that. They obviously tweaked the algorithm for listing issues, because so far they've all been listing issues, not product quality. Although I have a client I'm working with now that has both issues, in the sense that he doesn't know it, but he's got both issues. So I got to talk to him about that. But so they're being obviously cracking down on the listings, and jewelry. The jewelry category is probably one of the most difficult and persnickety categories for listings. Like you cannot make a mistake, and so that people are just shut down just because they didn't use a word properly, or
Wow.
I mean, literally, Amazon will tell you this word has to go in front of this word. Like you can't have it separated by a word in between. You're like, come on.
Right.
But right, so they're really there's no other category where they're that anal. And so people have been getting caught for that. And then I have some people who can no longer make listings, right? So I've seen several of those lately where they're banned from making new listings. So they can sell on other people's listings, but they can't make their own. This is a real hardship if you're trying to launch new product on the platform.
Wow. So if you're a private label seller, you'll be done if that happens.
Yeah, so it's really weird. The thing is, it's not seller performance that's doing it. It's another division or department within Amazon that's in charge of the catalog and the listings. So it's not like they violated policy. They did a parent-child thing wrong or whatever. So Amazon just decided, you know what, you don't know what you're doing, so you can't do it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So
we got no time for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Cynthia. So, anything else you want to say in closing?
I guess I would just tell people to really look at their listings and what they're selling and where it's coming from, and just make sure their product is as perfect as possible.
Right.
That's my basic message, but that's what you need.
Yeah, and you got to be like on top of every single rule and just, keep, being as perfect as you possibly can.
Yeah. So, I mean, I tell people now, if you're not suspended now, take the opportunity to clean up your account. Like, don't wait until they suspend you.
Right.
Because so many people think, oh, I'm fine, until they get suspended. So, I just tell people, you know what? You should do a check now. You should go through all your listings now and fix them and clean them before Amazon comes after you.
Right. Right. Okay, Cynthia Stine, as always, I'm sure we'll be speaking plenty, and that was a real pleasure. Thank you so much for giving us the time. We really appreciate it.
Yes, well, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.